The most dangerous form of poverty is having money while your nervous system still feels unsafe. Because if anxiety still controls your decisions, you are not financially free.
You are financially sedated.
The architecture of sustainable wealth. Most people do not feel poor because they lack money. They feel poor because their entire nervous system lives inside constant financial uncertainty. The bill arrives, the market drops, the unexpected expense appears, and suddenly, the mind loses clarity again. This is the hidden emotional reality of modern finance. Not luxury, not status, survival pressure. And if this feeling sounds familiar, you are not alone. Most people will spend their entire lives trapped inside invisible financial anxiety
without ever realizing the system was shaping their mind.
But movement is not wealth. Systems are. This is where the Wealth Cipher begins. This is where the Wealth Cipher begins, not as fantasy, not as domination over money, but as the disciplined architecture of financial stability in an age of noise. Money is not magic. It is organized human value moving through systems of exchange, and sustainable wealth is rarely built through intensity alone. It is built through alignment. Alignment between skill, behavior, time, capital, and emotional regulation. This is the first principle of the Wealth Cipher. Wealth without structure eventually collapses. Many people earn money without building systems. Others invest money without understanding risk. Others chase freedom while remaining emotionally controlled by financial anxiety every single day. And eventually, their financial life becomes another fragmented system draining cognitive energy. This is why the cipher begins with construction. The forge.
The place where raw capability becomes economic value.
The first pillar, active income. This is where financial stability truly begins. Not through shortcuts, not through fantasy, but through skill, discipline, reliability, useful value created consistently over time. The forge is where human capability is refined under pressure. Every focused hour, every difficult lesson, every improvement in craft, every increase in competence. This is how earning power is actually built. Most people underestimate the importance of the first pillar because modern culture glamorizes outcomes while ignoring foundations. But without stable active income, everything else becomes psychologically unstable. The forge creates liquidity, optionality, the ability to survive without panic. And this matters more than most people realize because financial instability fractures attention.
It traps the nervous system in survival mode.
And survival mode rarely produces wise, long-term decisions. This is why the Wealth Cipher values stability before expansion. Some people are not financially trapped because they lack ambition. They are exhausted from years of unstable systems constantly pulling them back into fear and reaction. The forge interrupts this cycle. Skill becomes leverage. Competence becomes mobility. Consistency becomes trust. And slowly, your work begins generating more value with less internal chaos. This is not hustle culture. This is capability architecture. The modern world celebrates visibility, but sustainable income is usually built quietly. One refined skill, one trusted service, one meaningful contribution repeated consistently over time. And if you have ever experienced even one moment where your work genuinely created value for another human being, you already understand the beginning of real economic leverage. This is the second principle of the Wealth Cipher. Your first income stream buys survival.
Your second begins buying freedom.
The forge eventually produces excess energy, capital no longer needed merely for immediate survival. This is where the second pillar emerges, the matrix of growth. The second pillar, portfolio income. Here, money begins working through systems instead of direct labor alone. Investments, assets, ownership, compounding structures continuing to function even while attention is elsewhere. This is where many people become emotionally unstable because investing reveals psychology, fear, greed, impatience, ego, short-term emotion disguised as long-term strategy. The matrix requires something deeper than intelligence. It requires regulation, the ability to think long-term while the world reacts emotionally every hour. Most people want extraordinary returns immediately. But sustainable wealth compounds quietly before it becomes visible. One disciplined investment decision repeated consistently over years can outperform endless emotional activity. This is the beauty of compounding, not speed, accumulation, small intelligent actions multiplied by time. The Matrix teaches a difficult lesson. Money amplifies systems, not chaos. A disciplined person becomes more stable with increasing capital. A chaotic person becomes more unstable. This is why emotional regulation becomes financial leverage. The strongest investors are rarely the loudest. They are the calmest. They understand that markets move in cycles while human emotion moves in impulses. And impulsive systems eventually collapse. The modern financial world encourages constant reaction, breaking news, panic headlines, market hysteria, infinite financial content competing for emotional attention every second. But reaction is not strategy. This is the third principle of the Wealth Cipher.
Psychological stability during uncertainty is a financial advantage.
The Matrix rewards patience, clarity, long-term thinking, the willingness to build slowly while others chase urgency. And eventually, the system begins generating momentum on its own. Capital starts producing additional capital. Time shifts from pressure into partnership. The third pillar emerges naturally from this process. The sun of wealth, not an empire, not fantasy luxury. A stable ecosystem of recurring value. Income streams continuing to function without constant survival level effort. Ownership structures, royalties, dividends, assets, systems reducing dependence on permanent exhaustion. This changes the relationship between human beings and time itself. Rest becomes possible. Creative thinking becomes possible. Intentional living becomes possible. Not because work disappears, but because survival anxiety no longer dominates every waking decision. This is the true purpose of financial freedom. Not status, not endless consumption, stability, optionality, the ability to direct attention intentionally instead of selling every fragment of life energy merely to survive. The sun of wealth is not built quickly. It is built through years of aligned systems reinforcing each other. The forge creates capability. The matrix multiplies value. The sun creates stability.
This is sustainable wealth architecture.
Most people try to begin with the final stage, but systems built without foundations eventually collapse under pressure. The Wealth Cipher moves differently, slowly, intentionally, structurally, because real wealth is not merely money. It is reduced internal chaos. Reduced fear, reduced desperation, reduced dependence on constant urgency. And for a moment, everything becomes quieter. Financial panic softens. The nervous system relaxes. Decision-making becomes clearer. The future no longer feels like a collapsing emergency every waking hour. This is why stability becomes the ultimate luxury, not because stability is glamorous, but because peace of mind becomes increasingly rare in a financially anxious world. The modern economy rewards stimulation. The Wealth Cipher rewards structure. The modern economy rewards emotional reaction. The Wealth Cipher rewards clarity. The modern economy teaches people to chase money endlessly. The Wealth Cipher teaches people to build systems worthy of sustainable value. This is the final principle of the Wealth Cipher. Wealth is not the ability to spend endlessly. It is the ability to live without constant financial fragmentation, consuming your attention, identity, and nervous system. The strongest financial systems are rarely built through obsession with money itself. They are built through disciplined value creation sustained over long periods of time. The protocol was never about becoming the ruler of wealth.
It was about becoming stable enough that money no longer controls your emotional state every day.
And maybe this is what people were truly searching for all along. Not infinite riches, not status, not the fantasy of escaping reality, only the feeling of finally building a life where survival no longer consumes the entire mind. The forge still burns, the matrix still grows, the sun still rises. But now, they move together as one coherent system designed not for domination, but for sustainable human freedom. And once financial panic finally stops controlling the nervous system, a deeper question naturally begins emerging. What kind of life is actually worth building with that freedom?